Hi, Chris.
Hi.
How you holding up this week?
We're okay.
Yeah. Well, I know last time we kind of talked about how you're really struggling with anxiety and how it's sort of gotten to the point now where you're getting anxious about being anxious. Is that right? Okay. So I want to talk a little more about that today and just do a little activity. And first off, I want to kind of start out by explaining that a lot of anxiety is kind of fueled by these irrational beliefs that we end up having. It starts with just an activating event, so something that makes you anxious, and then you end up developing kind of some thoughts about that make you anxious, and then you end up developing some feelings like depression and anxiety. And then you end up, because of that depression and anxiety, you end up developing more irrational beliefs, which leads to depression and guilt. Does that make sense? Okay, so sort of an example of that is if you're gonna take your driver's test and you're nervous about that, right? Okay, so maybe some thoughts that would go through someone's head about that, somebody struggling with anxiety, would be, I'll never pass it, my friends are gonna laugh at me, this is terrible, I'm so stupid. And then that leads to feeling anxious and depressed. And then we get to that secondary anxiety, which is feeling anxious and depressed. And because of that anxiety and depression, you can end up feeling like, I shouldn't feel this way, what's wrong with me, why can't I cope with things better? So thoughts like that does that sort of ring a bell? Do you feel some thoughts like that? Okay. And so what I want to do with you is just do a little grid like what's on this, and talk about a primary anxiety that you're feeling, like an activating event, a situation that's going on that's making you anxious, and some beliefs that go with that, and then the secondary anxiety that comes with that, and maybe some thoughts to sort of combat that. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what's something that's a primary anxiety for you?
I had a job interview and I don't know how well it went.
Okay. So what are some thoughts that are going through your head that are making you anxious about that?
That I might not get the job.
Okay. And then what about that in particular? What if you don't get the job?
If I don't get a job, then I won't make enough money.
That's a fear. Okay. You won't make enough money? What else?
I'll feel like a failure.
Okay. Which leads to you feeling anxious and depressed, right? Okay. Okay, and so then you've said you've been feeling that cycle of secondary anxiety starting, right? So what kinds of thoughts are you feeling with that secondary anxiety? So the activating event for that secondary anxiety is, oh my goodness, okay, so this bad thing's going on, now I feel anxious and depressed.